Yo, what up, C10 Nation? This is Ronnie from C10 Talk. C10 Talk is one of those podcast things. We talk C10 trucks, tech, and people. That's right, people. Because it's the people that make the scene so rad-ass. The trucks are cool, but the people are cooler. You can check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, c10talk.com, and anywhere else you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks for checking out our latest video and being part of the C10 Nation. All right. Florida, Miami, Chuck Velasco. Chuck C, welcome to C10 Talk, my brother. Long time coming. Big fan of you and look forward to this pod. So welcome, my brother.
Likewise, man. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I look back at how I kind of first came across who you were, Instagram. We'll get into your mom's truck, the truck that you did in your 2-car garage, your mom's 68 little inline 6, I believe. But first and foremost, a high-end builder who I think has attention to detail. You obviously go through, and you're one of those guys, very meticulous. Who is Chuck?
Chuck is native born here to Miami, Florida. I was born in South Miami Hospital, and I actually live about 1.5 miles away from where I was born. So I've been here my whole life, professionally, went to school to be a physical therapist. So I did all my post-grad work and worked at multiple hospitals, educational centers, universities. Very much of a teacher in a way, although I'll always be a student for life, did a lot of teaching and always hungry for knowledge and wanting to learn. And my first, how do I transition into, the medical side into kind of what I do now, which is a hobby. And I think it's more than a hobby, maybe an extreme hobby. I like to work with my hands, I like to see things move. And as a therapist, you manipulate people, you move joints, you move bones. But I wanted to do it maybe to something else. And I didn't know, I wasn't born in the hot rod scene. My first car show was 2013, which wasn't too long ago, about 8 or 9 years ago. I had never been to a car show in my life. And I fell in love with this old truck that I saw, and I couldn't get over it while it was looked like it had the plague going on, and it was patina. I didn't know what that was. So it was very weathered, worn, distressed, and I couldn't stop looking at it and just the curves. And I'm like, man, this is cool. And I saw it as art, art comes in many, many forms. And, and here from my studio now and 2-car garage, that's what I do now. So Chuck C, the C part is because I want people to see what Chuck does. So, a way to shorten that was I just said, keep it simple, Chuck C. And when I put it in Instagram, I didn't know it was going to, grow this much or be such a popular platform just for everyone, in the scene. It turned out to be what it is. And now I do stuff from home.
When you look back, thinking 2013, like you said, 8 years ago, and then you look back before 2013, you were obviously engrossed in your professional career. You're in the medical field. So Lord knows there's just a ton of information. You can go to symposiums and workshops and continuing education for myself as a paramedic, you and all the other audience out there that knows no different than a construction job or any other job. There's always, room to grow. Do you look back and think how many trucks, cars, bikes, things that you kind of, not that you took it for granted, but it just wasn't at the forefront. And then you're like, oh man, I love that car now that I'm into cars and trucks. When you look back in your youth or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't really, look back and say, man, I could have, would have, should have, but I'm more like, look forward. I have evolved, I'm not the same person I was, 8 years ago 9 years ago when I first went to my first car show. I didn't know where I was going. I was gonna go hang out with my buddies, and I was like, all right, I don't know anything about cars, but let's go. And it was in Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, actually. So we road tripped over there, and I had built a couple, 2 or 3 bikes, motorcycles, because I rode bicycle my whole life. And I go, let's put them.
Yeah, we
I had
lost
a
him a little bit.
bicycle, now I got so the same. And from that point forward, you know, it evolved. So I'd say, you know, from 2013 forward is when I started noticing vehicles. You know, other than that, I didn't really care for them much. You know.
So this will be good. Take me back, or in a very quick explanation. You're a grown man. You're a professional man. You get into automotive and trucks and cars, and you get into that in 2013. Fast forward to 7-8 years now, and Chuck C is synonymous with high quality build. Some people might not realize there is some 67 to 72 love in there, and we're going to get into that more Tri-5 task force stuff.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, kind of what's that journey look like? Is that somebody who just yearned for more growth and really has taken it all in? There's friends, there's travel, there's so much that we're here to get to know that 7-8 year journey. But that's pretty crazy to think that you've come that far, especially for somebody who had no previous time before that.
So I guess in a way it's a blessing, because fashion and comes and goes, and style is something you can't buy, and I was never tainted by the old school hot rodder. I don't really know my dad, so I was never, hey, this is a hammer, this is what you do with it. I didn't know that. So at this point, I feel like it's a whole new world for me, and I'm so hungry to learn and for knowledge constantly. I always wanted to learn, and even when I talk and I have something set up for us here, I want to teach the next guy, hey, look out for this when you're doing your build. How do you make it better? Because those golden nuggets don't just get handed out. And I was a guy, yearning for that when I came into the scene, and I was watching YouTube, and I liked the trucks. It wasn't cars, it was trucks. And obviously it went to, towards the C10 Chevrolet route. And it hasn't stopped since then, and to me, this is a free form of art, how I express myself. And like you were saying, the detail and the OCD that I have is just me in general. But as I'm driving my vehicles, the ones that I built, I'm thinking, okay, blue Loctite, vibration, how many turns did I torque this? Is it aligned? It just all that, the build goes through my head as I'm driving. So it's a very dynamic drive when I'm driving. I'm not going from A to B. It's A to Z, because in between you got all these letters in the alphabet that I'm thinking about: suspension, airbags, wiring, heat, which entertains me, as I'm driving. So a lot's going on in my head, and I really enjoy it,
I think what I like from a empowering perspective for you is that 7-8 years in the scene and what you've been able to do and the quality of the builds, again, for a guy who's doing it in a 2-car garage, did you feel like it was a challenge to learn to become a quote unquote mechanic and learn to, because I got to think you come into it and you're like, I don't even know what an LS is. I don't know what I've never bled brakes before.
Magazine, yeah, that truck that's in that magazine that you showed me a little while ago, that was my first 55 to 59 build, the step side, the green one. And just to go off of what you're saying, I didn't know what an LS motor was 6 years ago. I did not know. So I heard the term 350, small block 350. So I went to the Chevrolet dealership across the street and I said, hey, I need a Chevy 350. You guys have one? And they're like, well, we have certain packages. What are you looking for? I said, that you plug it in, you add fuel, and you turn the key. Like, simple, right? I didn't know what an alternator was or anything. And they're like, yeah, it's this motor right here, whatever. Well, we can have it dropped off, forklift or whatever, to your place. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So that's why it's a 350. Otherwise, it would have been an LS, in retrospect. But you gotta crawl before you can walk, before you can run, and so forth. So those are the steps that I took, and I think my builds continue to evolve. Not to get better or worse, but they just evolve.
Well, I think we're going to get into some of the leaps and the bounds and what Chuck's been able to do and grow. And for me, as the host of this, I love the growth part of it. Absolutely love the growth. That's why I love to get to know people. But I also love the growth for the people that are on the other side. So you're out there at home, you're in your garage wrenching as you listen to Ronnie and Chuck, talk about old trucks. And you know that you can grow yourself and you can help somebody else grow, because that's what, again, is so rad about our scene and really automotive and culture is the trucks are cool, the people are cooler, and Chuck is here for that. I was talking a little bit earlier, so just so you guys put it in reference, and we'll talk about it, but September of 2019, Chuck was in, or his first truck was going to be the 1959 green Apache, and that was in street truck. So again, he got recognized because of his builds and what he's doing. One of the things I have for you is Florida. I feel like it's got to be challenging. I love that you love and know what you love. So that's a fun thing. It's like when I see it, I love it. I like my style. Yeah. You've been reinforced by your art that you've been able to create in that outlet, because everything you've done has been, well, not everything, but you've had a lot of success. So that breeds that confidence in your ability. Do you feel like Florida is tough because I feel like Florida from, Arizona, I feel like you have just a variety galore, from Lambos to bikes to jacked up trucks to donks. And I don't even know that I would think a C10 is even in the top 5, top 10 there.
Yeah. No, you don't see them around here, and I guess I was never influenced by any of that, or else that would have poked my interest in it, and it really didn't. It didn't affect me. But for some reason, just that truck, that Apache I saw, 59 Apache I saw in Tennessee, just captured me. The curves of step side, and I went searching for that truck that you just showed us, and after I saw that, I was inspired.
So do you still have time? Do you still work PT as well, or no?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes,
okay. So that keeps you out of trouble, so that you're not buying and working on too many art projects.
No. That's one thing about me. I only have one build at a time that I ever do. Maybe because I'm limited by space in a certain way. Although I do have covered parking on the side of my home, and it's out of the elements and stuff. I don't store. I don't have the capability to store because I don't have enough room. Especially here in Miami, real estate is really over the top. And if you're gonna have real estate, it's gonna go up. It's not gonna go sideways. It's just cheaper. So I wasn't really influenced. Back to your question about all the exotics that you have out here. And it's funny you ask. Like sometimes I'll go out, not in this one, my 55, the fleet side, and people, when it's parked, I said, "Oh, is it broken down? Like flat tires, or just the silly things that it's from not knowing. It's not that they're being dumb. They don't know. Maybe ignorant, which ignorance is a bad thing. You just don't know. And then you get, when are you going to paint it? And oh, that's a cool project. Are you almost done with it? And I've driven from Miami to Texas and back in that thing with the AC on. So it's cool to listen to people's, I guess, comments and stuff like that. But and why patina? To me, it's just a lot of character. I think anyone can own a red truck. Nothing wrong with a red truck, but anyone can have a red truck. And there's like a fingerprint. There's only one.
Yeah, and I think that the task force style trucks that you've had have got to stand out in that Miami area, because they're not abundant. And then when somebody, like you said, somebody sees it, it's not just the run of the mill Lambo or, whatever. I'm assuming, I'm just saying, and then they see it and they're like, holy shit, look at that truck, so you're getting thumbs up and rad. And then again, I assume with some of the transplants that come from, New York and North, some of the older guys might see that and just really resonate with your trucks and your style.
Yeah, some of the older guys get it. The younger population, they don't understand it. They'll be the ones that say, "Oh, when are you going to paint it?" And it, it's a nice project. When are you going to finish it? But yeah, the older population really it hits home to them, because you'll see them and you see the smile on their face. You know what that means. Oh, Grandpa had one, or somebody had one in their life. But it's very rare that you'll see one of these, vintage trucks bag cruising around the streets out here. And the streets are great.
When you look at the 8-year journey, what would you say has been we'll start with the worst part and then we'll finish with the best part. When I say worst,
okay,
I mean,
repeat. You froze
okay,
up.
We broke up. So when you look at your 8-year journey, what would you say has been the most challenging part of that journey where you as a teacher and a student, you yearned for more, but it was tough for you. So what would you say was the most challenging part to get to where you are today?
Challenging part is probably waking up in the morning, man, because I do graveyard shifts here in the studio. So I start like around 5 o'clock and I'll go to like 2:30 in the morning. And I got my music going, my AC on, and I'm just in the zone. So waking up, it's not funny, but it kind of is, really information is out there at your fingertips. I knew nothing. I learned how to weld on YouTube. I bought my welder on Craigslist. Everything I have here is, tool wise is that I saw somebody on YouTube, because this hot rod scene does not exist really here in Miami. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But when you need a part or you need to go to a hot rod shop, you might as well go to a Mercedes dealership or something like that, or an exotic, because you just got to go online, like you said, and it's at your fingertips. So information is as far as your fingertip.
So what would you say, you might even be the answer, what would you say is the best part? So if that's the most challenging part, what's been the best part?
The best part is to see that what I'm, the style that I'm doing is liked and cherished by other people, not only me. I don't do it for them. I'm doing it for me in here, and other people are turned on by it or to it. And that to me is a big deal, because I didn't think it was going to turn out, to be so popular. I'm not saying I'm the one who, pioneered this whole, patina thing, but actually here in Miami, it's not very, very common. So the best part of this whole truck scene, that I'm going to say, I don't know if this is going past beyond the question you asked, but the relationships that have been formed because of that. Most of the people that I communicate with, on a daily on my Instagram, and I'm about 100% return rate on my Instagram. I will answer everything, because I don't like seeing an icon on my app. A bubble bothers me, so I'll go touch it and make sure it's been answered. Is West Coast. The West Coast guys really ask me questions, and I'm honored, because this is where I get these ideas from, and all of my trucks come from the West Coast. All the ones this one's from California, so all of them come from over there, and I'm getting people asking me questions over here. So I feel very, very honored, from the relationships that have been formed, and all the traveling, which is great, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, we like seeing you as well, because you're an ambassador for the scene. If you think about it, there's certain people, and we're going to get into that too. Obviously, you and your sidekick Arnie, or you might be Arnie's sidekick, at some format. But I think that having great people, and that's what's cool. To think what a coincidence, or maybe just the way it worked out. 2013, you find this task force style truck. You're looking at those hips, you're looking at that patina, and that's about the same time that social media really took off. We were all these forum guys were getting on. I used to just call it truck porn, and you would have found that as well. But then you get social media and just mind blown, right? We're looking at all these different styles, and so you have that different outlet, and that's what's so empowering about the automotive industry for us. Is we have all these great people, and we can kind of, Wonder Twins unite when we get together, and then we find out that we might get together at a different show or an event, and you're like, oh yeah, cool truck, dude, I just like this guy, I just want to drink a beer and talk to him about what he's doing. And the like-mindedness of it all really keeps things in the cyclical manner that we're blessed. Yeah,
it's not a typical get together or barbecue or party, because if you go to one of these truck shows, you're going to get along with everyone, or else you wouldn't be there. Like you said, the like-mindedness is all over it. Everyone's excited. Like, I don't like to get up early.
Froze up.
There's a damn truck show. You believe me? He's really said that I don't like to get up early, but if there's a truck show, you better believe I'm going to be up early and have everything ready to go and get excited. And the night before, get excited. And to me, it's something new, that I've never really had. And with total strangers, you can be total friends,
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. Total strangers, total friends. Take us to Mom 68. That was where I first got exposed to who Chuck C was and took note. Yeah. That was a fun truck. One thing I think, and I didn't look back, but I remember that I believe you kept the inline 6, and I thought that was cool. So how did was that one of your first builds?
That was my first frame off build, and I'll rewind before I talk about the inline 6. I had never built a truck in my life, or a car for that matter, and my mom is my mom. My mom is my dad. And my mom is everything, right? So I said, all right, well, I want to embark on this new challenge, and I love the challenge. And I made room in the garage. I don't have clutter in here or anything. I'm very organized. And I said, Mom, I'm gonna build a truck. She's like, a what? I go, a truck, a Chevy truck. Do you like Chevy trucks? And she's like, yeah, sure. I go, well, here, go on eBay. She's very hip, so she's got Facebook. She has, eBay on her phone, all kinds of stuff. So go on eBay, plug in 6772 Chevy truck, and find something you like, and I'll get it for you. And I want to build you something. And this is totally new to me, totally new to her. Like, what's wrong with you? I don't drink, or I don't do any mind altering stuff. Anyway, long story short, let's fast forward. She finds a 68, and it's great. And I knew that it had to be original paint, right away. Because I had that worn, weathered look from that Tennessee show, from that Apache that I saw. And we found it, we got it, came from California, shipped it over here. And I said, all right, well, I'm gonna take it apart. Any monkey can take something apart, right? It's putting it back together and making it work is the hard part, right? So I bagged and tagged. Everything went on a Ziploc bag and my phone, bag and tag. I know nothing. I really know nothing. So I take it all apart, and I Google suspension, and CPP pops up, and I end up buying all the parts I need suspension wise to lower it, because I like the stance. I know lowered always looked better. So typical spindles, springs, shocks. I had the frame powder coated. I don't know if I even C-notched it or not. I may have, I don't recall. I may have C-notched it. And powder coated it, and I gave myself 9 months. I said, I'm going to do this in 9 months, whatever the case is. So had it powder coated, brought it back. As I'm putting it back together, why go look for a motor if this motor worked, right? I don't know what an LS is right now, right? So this long looking, looks like a loaf of bread kind of motor, it still runs. So I took it to a machine shop, they rebuilt it and brought it back, nice and painted, crispy, turnkey. And I said, Mom, got the frame, got the motor, transmission, put a 700R there, automatic, because it was stick. And my mom does drive stick, but I figure I'll put automatic and AC. So I said, she goes, oh, are you going to paint it? I said, no, that's the beauty of it. The character, there's not another one in the world like it. This dent, it has a story. Every scratch and dent has a story. And she goes, all right, let me tell you something. My mom's a phenomenal artist, by the way. Amazing. She can draw. Her mind is another world. And maybe I got 2% of that, maybe, because she's out of this world. And she goes, no. Let me. What is that word you said? I said patina. It's like a weathered, worn look. She's like, look, honey, you see me? I'm patina. I don't want my truck to be patina. So I said, okay, all right, hey, your call, your truck, we'll do whatever you want. Anyway, got it painted. went to paint jail for about 11 months, came back, put it all together with an inline six, and she drove it for almost 8,000 miles, and she would drive to the Florida Keys. Never had an issue with it. And it was a great experience, you know, the whole knowing that I did that and I did it for her. So that was my number one. And from that point forward, then my inspiration was her. I did it for her, finished it. Now I can move forward with myself. So, you know, she carried me for 9 months. I figured I can build something for her in 9 months as well. So that's kind of that was my deadline, you know.
What was your biggest like learning experience from that first build?
Wiring. I didn't know how to wire anything, and I had a buddy come in and help me wire the stuff. I downloaded diagrams off the internet. I mean, it was as simple as it can be, right? Inline six, there's not much going on there. But the truck never gave me headaches, you know, never overheated, no leaks, nothing like that. And all the information I was getting was from online, you know, and I start off my Google searches with best radiator. Best, the word best would always go first, because I wanted nothing but the best for my mom, you know. So that's how that came about. And
she drove the truck for 8,000 miles, and then did she just kind of say, "Hey, I want to move on," and then she probably checked with you?
She would call me and say, "Hey, there's a guy telling me to put down my window and saying things to me like thumbs up or whatever. What do?" I go, "Say you wave at him." I don't know, you know, I don't know about the scene yet, right? So he probably likes it. And she would roll down her window, "Oh, how you doing?" And she'd say it's a 68, and people just wanting to buy it off of her because they thought it was an OG. This old lady driving this, you know, short bed C10. And some guy from California just fell in love with it, would not leave us alone, would not. I said, "Mom, it's your call. You know, it's whatever you want to do. It's your truck, your call." She's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm scared to drive it." Like she's very careful and very picky. You know, I guess that's where I get some of that from too. And she had her microfibers and her spray, and she would clean it and wipe it. Like, you know, to date, her cars are impeccable. And some guy just wanted it more than we did, I guess, you know. And it still, I'd love to have it back, but you know, it went to a good place. I think back to California, so it's over there somewhere. But I haven't seen it. The guy doesn't have Instagram or anything like that, so it went back to where it came from.
I've got you down as definitely having a few 67 to 72s for a while there, different trucks that you, so would you say at that first phase, obviously, you know, in Tennessee, you were influenced by like a task force style truck, but you also like the 67 to 72s, and you were plucking them up and working on them?
Yeah, it was my mom's. After that, I got that green one that you just showed us in the magazine there. And I saw that on eBay because I didn't know where to find one, right? So let me go on eBay. That's where we bought my mom's truck. So let me go buy another one, right? I didn't have any contacts with anyone outside of Florida. And I know that Florida weather doesn't lend itself for patina, you know, it just rots things out. So saw it on eBay. I guess the guy was asking too much for it. I don't know what happened, didn't sell. So I sent him a message. I said, "Hey, where are you located?" He said, "Oh, I'm in New York." I said, "All right." So I said, "I'd like to go see it." So I bought a plane ticket and flew to New York, and it was actually over the bridge in New Jersey, and saw it inside a warehouse. I think they were Polish or German. I don't recall. I don't recognize the language that they were speaking. Long story short, it was a big back window, short bed, step side, original paint in this warehouse in the back. And the guy, "Oh yeah, we're going to build that one day." And there must have been 80 cars there, and just wrenching on stuff, very dusty. It was basically abandoned in a corner of this warehouse. And that's where I picked up that one. And that was my first build using a Porterville front half, back half, because that's what I found. You mentioned the 6772 forum, and that's where I found the information on Porterville. And I did my first front half, back half, and I learned to weld before I started that.
Well, it's good that you found the truck porn because, you know, there's a lot of information there.
A lot.
And like you said, you go to YouTube and people don't realize even on a 6772, you know, it covers all, you know, eras of Chevy trucks. It really does, even though the namesake is 67 to 72. But,
right.
So at that point, you find this, in my mind, you found the gem, right? You're thinking,
I didn't know.
You're probably like, I'm going to keep this truck forever. I found this back warehouse, 1959 Apache. I don't know what all the numbers are. 3100 Task Force. I don't know any of that means, but I'm going to build this bad.
Big back window. I know big back window is more desirable. I had no idea.
That's cool. That's cool. So, so work us through that build. Did you think you were going to keep that one forever? And at that point, because if you had already built your mom's truck, I feel like there's, at that point, your social media you're starting to kind of get like a reputation, like this guy in Miami, Chuck C. People are starting to follow you because you did catalog and do a really good job. At least I remember with your mom's truck. So people have got to be reaching out to you like, hey, good job. I love that you kept the inline six. Great build. This is cool.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I had maybe, you know, 1,000, I don't know how many followers then, you know, so I wasn't getting that feedback from people like I do now, which I'm honored and grateful. And I wasn't getting that feedback, but I think what really gave me the most exposure was this 59 once, because I didn't know what it was until, you know, I started getting more into the whole truck scene. And I said, man, this is really what I really like and what's very desirable. So when I completed that build, the 59 Apache, that's when I got the most exposure, I think, and people asking questions and people wanting to do videos and stuff like that. And then the magazine, I was blown away. I've never owned a car magazine in my life, and now I'm the guy in the magazine, you know. So, you know, I know it's cool. I know print isn't maybe at the forefront of where everything is going, but to me, it was a big highlight and a big deal for me. I mean, I had no clue, but I'm in it, you know. So I think that was what made me leap a little bit more forward with my platform now that it is today.
So you cut your teeth on Mom 68, then you get the 59, the green Apache.
Yeah.
What'd you learn on the green Apache? What's some when you look back, some trials, some tribulations to, you know, you're going front half, back half. That's something completely different. Obviously, you're getting brave.
Yeah. Because I see that you know, the biggest limitation is yourself. You know, if you don't work outside your comfort zone, there's no growth. So I had to do it. You know, I wanted to grow. I'm always hungry to learn more. So trials and tribulations. Again, the electrical, man. The electrical for me is not fun. You know, and I would take a day off to come back and look at it again. And now I've learned how to do electrical, and it's the same way you'd eat an elephant, right? So I separate strands. These strands go that way, leave them alone. These strands come this way, and these go forward, these go back. And once you tease out the spaghetti, it's not as bad because now you know the direction where everything needs to go. You don't look at it all as a whole and say, man, where do all these go? If you take them in small groups, it's only where do these 5 go? You know, don't look at the other ones right now. So I learned to manage my cataloging of how I'm gonna attack my plan of attack on electrical, the electrical aspect of the build. You know, what else can I tell you? You know, I bought the motor at the Chevrolet dealership because it's called the turnkey Chevy Turnkey 350 because it comes with a belt and spark plugs. I mean, can't go wrong, right?
They're hooking you up. They're taking all the guesswork out of it. What about
the work that I didn't know?
What about bagging a truck? That was something that you probably, you know, had to really learn on that 59.
Right. Well, so Porterville offered the whole suspension with bags, and I said it'll probably look cooler, you know, lower. I like that, and I opted to bag it, and I wrote, you know, best air suspension, and what came up was AccuAir. So I got the AccuAir with the external valves, and you know, 10,000 miles later, that truck has never seen a hiccup with that system, which is great. So the bags to me were really exciting, going from a coilover which is my mom's. The sensors were challenging, how to set them. And the electrical part, once again, I learned how to polish. That's another big deal. So this one I did do full polish. There's no clear on that truck anywhere, and that thing was brighter than a 2021 Chevrolet. That lacquer paint, just you cut it and polish it, buff it, and to me it's beautiful. It's more beautiful than a new paint job, if you ask me.
So now that you know what you know, looking back over a plethora of trucks and builds, high quality builds, do you find yourself as more of a guy who likes the journey of the build more than the drive? You like to be in the shop, the therapy of you jamming out and staying up till 2 in the evening, 2 in the morning, and you yearn for that more than the drive, or do you enjoy all facets of it?
No, it's from beginning to end. The hunt, you find it. The parts are always fun. I like using all original parts. I guess I might have coined the term OG plus. So, exactly what the name states. You want to keep it OG and just add your little touch to it. The plus, So I think GM did it right from the go. If you can just change the stance on it, and maybe the drivetrain, you don't got to do much else. A lot of little details in between, but overall, the overall big picture, the gross picture will be just OG plus. So that's something that I subscribe to,
What about wheel choice? I always think that that's a challenging thing for people to understand the concept of how we see so many things on social media. So you see, some Coys, some torque thrusts, some Boss 338s, and they all look good. A Rambler, a US Mag Rambler looks phenomenal on a C10, but you have also working just prying that 2% your mom, gave you from the artisan perspective. You've done a really good job of picking the right wheel. Walk through that with us. What's your process?
So to me, women are beautiful, right? So you put a beautiful dress on a beautiful woman, then you put a pair of Crocs on her. See what I'm saying? So I know that, 4-inch, 6-inch heels will look a lot better than those Crocs. So that's how I see it, or how I envision it, and the shoes will make or break the outfit at the end of the day. And I was in Tennessee the following, maybe 2 years after that my initial visit to Tennessee to that show, and I saw Boris. I didn't know Boris, but I saw a C10 with spoke wheels, and it just zipped by, and I said, I saw something going like this, and I said, those aren't smooth, or I got to go see that again. So he made a U-turn, something like that, and I was keeping an eye on him. He came back, and as he was going slow, I said, man, those are spokes. That looks really cool. So I went online, and I put best vintage wheels, and the Wheelsmith came up in California. So I gave him a call, spoke to the guy, very nice, and I know forward from backwards, and I said, I want spoke wheels, and I want them on 20-inch hoop, right? I didn't know what Boris was running or not, but 20s were kind of cool. 20s, it's not a teen, it's a 20. So they said, oh, we don't make those. We only make them 15s, 17s, or 15s and 18s. 18s the biggest we go. I go, anyone who might make them in the 20? And he's like, well, I guess I can order the hoop and we can try it. I'm like, all right, I'm down. Let's do it. So it's a 52 spoke, powder coated black with a little Mooney in the middle. And I reduced the Mooney by like half an inch because I paint another circle on the OD of it just to reduce it. And it makes the rim look a little bit bigger. That's a little cheater note there. So I do manipulate that little center cap to make the rim look bigger. And then I added the white wall. So it looks a little bit bigger than a 20. And I think that shoe fit, and everyone really, really, really likes the shoes on that, or the wheels on that truck. Whenever they ask about it, they ask about, did I clear it? And they ask about the wheels that I chose.
Well, but honestly, I think your process, even on tan lines, I would say tan lines, your wheel is phenomenal. You pick the right wheel. You pick the right wheel with the green.
You broke up.
Just saying that you picked the right wheel for tan lines as well. So
Okay.
really all your vehicles, I don't, I'm trying to kind of sit here and think about the different vehicles you've built, but you pick the right wheel, and the right wheel, that's the hardest part to me is
yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say the hardest part. It is a hard part, but it's a fun part. It's just that it has such a big, there's a risk reward there where you go outside the box and you pick the right wheel, you win all day. You can always take the safe choice. And like I said earlier, go with, a US Rambler. There's certain trucks, certain styles that just, they're timeless, and you're going to be fine with it. But then you've got somewhat of a ballsy move where you go bigger, or you go just a little bit, more drastic, and somebody might not have seen that, and you're like, oh shit, look at that. Like, God damn, that looks so good. Right. You do a good job of that. And again, that's where I go back to that artisan part of it. It takes the right guy, and you're working through it hard, and it shows.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. That, the wheel on GMO on that 59 Fleet side, the two-tone, the beige and white, Frontier beige, and I forget what the white is. My girl was drinking wine, and I was on that same predicament, like, what wheel? And I'm Googling, wheels, and Google image wheels, just looking at wheels. And I get a lot of, the VW scene is really, really big. And that European look to me, what the VWs do, like, I vibe with that a lot, and I like it. So I was looking at a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, but this is like American kind of muscle truck car-ish, So she was drinking wine. Back to what I'm saying. I grab her glass. I go, give me a sheet of paper, and I get a Sharpie marker, and I draw a circle, and I give her back the glass of wine, and I go, why can't I draw like, another man that breathes, cries, bleeds, drew that wheel? Why, how am I different? We're not really different. So favorite number is 8. So I drew 8 spokes. So the wheels, I named them the 88s. And I drew them, and I drew the Chevy bow tie in the center with a GMC 60s cap around that. If you notice, if you look at them closely, it's actually a GMC bigger hubcap with a bow tie emblem in the middle. And I talked to Arnie, my buddy Arnie, and I went to high school with Arnie.
Oh boy, here we go. First Arnie drop. First Arnie drop.
So I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing my own wheels. Do you know somebody? He's like, oh yeah, man, of course I know somebody. He's on. I go, I say yes or no. Do you know somebody who can do wheel? Anyway, he hooked me up with the Greening Auto Company, and I hooked up with them, and very honored to work with them, and didn't realize the caliber of shop they were, or it's a full-blown everything that they do top notch stuff. And I said, can you guys make me this wheel? They're like, yeah, it's going to be expensive. I said, all right, can you make it for me? And they said, yeah. So the designer, George Lawrence, great guy, he did the CAD work. He sent me renderings back and forth, and as picky as I am, I did the old school cutout, color pencil, photocopy. I drew my truck. I would put the wheel behind a little piece of paper to see where, if I cut it in half, how the wheel would look when it dropped. I do crazy stuff here, just very caveman stuff, because it's what I know. Second and third grade stuff. Pair of scissors, some tape, coloring pencils, and you go at it. And they said, yeah, we can do it. So they made me that wheel, and then they made me the wheel that I run on GMO, which is the 55 Fleet side that I have now. It's just a different rendition of the 88s, but basically the same almost.
So the green 59, where'd that end up?
That one went to Kentucky. That one went to, I never posted I sold it or anything like that. Not a big Instagram guy. I had never seen him before, but I guess you got lurkers out there that just watch and drop a question or a comment here and there. And he said, I need it. I want it. I saw your YouTube channel and I saw the truck on the videos. And I want to buy it. So we came to agreement, and he came and got it all the way from Kentucky and took it back. And I really haven't seen it again because he's not really that active on Instagram.
Tan Lines ended up here in Arizona. Do I remember that run right?
Yeah, Tan Lines. I'll fast forward through this one. I had never been to Dino's Get Down, right? I'm all the way out here in South Florida. So I had Tan Lines, 59 Chevy Apache, fleet side. I had it shipped to Arizona and took it to Dino's Get Down. And, people hitting me up on Instagram, oh, is this truck going to be there? I really like to see it. Oh, nice truck. Is it for sale? I'm just saying, thank you. And a gentleman, I won't mention his name, but a very nice gentleman. He's like, hey, I really like your truck. Can I come see it? I go, sure. It's going to be at Dino's Get Down. It'll be parked at this booth over here. He's like, all right, I want to talk to you about it. I'm like, all right, cool. We'll talk about it, And he goes, is it for sale? I said, no, it's not for sale. I brought it down here and I put 700. I came to Dino's a week in advance and I put 700 miles on the truck as the shakedown. I just finished it. And pre-Dino's. So went to Sedona, saw the Red Mountains, what have you, in Arizona, came back. Anyway. And he ends up he said, what day do you leave? I said, oh, I leave on Tuesday. He goes, I'd like to see the truck on Monday. All right. Why don't you come to Dino's and look at it? Anyway, long story short, fast forward. He asked me where I bank. I said, oh, I bank at the Chase Bank, but it's not for sale. He's like, let's go to Chase. I handed him the keys at Chase. And he drove it all the way to Portland, Oregon, from Dino's Get Down. And I said, if anything happens from here to there, it's on me. Any flat tire, wire, anything. He said, all right. He says, you trust your bills? I go, I do. So anyway, he jumped in it, drove straight to Portland, Oregon. He said he got caught in LA traffic. I don't know what that is, but I can imagine because I know what Miami traffic is. So that's supposed to be worse. So he said, get caught on that. He said he turned on the AC. He said he had no problems. He had the Bluetooth radio going. So like my builds, when they're done, they're 100% done. They're not, oh, wait, I got to add a sway bar and I have to put a Watts link and I got to add, a bag. They're 100% done. And I got it shipped to Dino's and I came home empty handed. It was never really intended to sell. So that's when I had to get another one. Right. So that's when I got my 55 GMO.
So before you get to the 55, that's got to make you feel good, right? When somebody at this point, you haven't said everything's for sale. The green 59 is sold with no advertisement. The 55, which probably, I just love those earth tones. So I love that truck. I'm very happy to see that truck at the Get Down. Nice. You got to feel confident, like, Jesus, man, what's going on here? Am I, what am I doing?
Again, this is not my scene, and I'm beginning to understand it and the passion that drives people behind wanting it. It's kind of the same that I have. So the like-mindedness, and I understand when somebody wants something so bad, because now when I see an original patina short bed truck, this something comes from within me, that I don't know where it comes from, but the desire of wanting it is there, and you'll let nothing get in your way, if you can, to get it. So I'm very humbled by the fact that there's people that really, really like my builds and they want them more than I do, and that's what has happened ultimately,
So you've got the money burning a hole in your pocket from the 55 and you start hunting again. Are you specifically looking for another Tri-5 truck? Or where are you at?
The money is burning my pocket from the 59. And that's when I start looking for another one, because I still want one for me, right? Because these weren't for sale and now they're gone. So I feel like there's a void. I'm missing something. And I get on, I don't Facebook, so I get on Craigslist, and I know it's a lot more tedious and you got to go, you know, city by city or what have you, but I started looking in North Dakota, like who the hell looks in North Dakota, right? And I found this 1955, the one that I have now, my 55, which is now a fleet side. And as we all know, the first fleet side truck that Chevrolet put out was 1958, not including the Cameos, which was a different style of truck, the fiberglass bed. So hence the name GMO, because it's been genetically modified. It's got a 55 cab with a 58, 59, or 59 bed, because the 59s came with the spear option, spear trim. So I find this thing in North Dakota and send him the money. And he said, well, I'm still using the truck on the railroad. And I said, railroad, all right. Okay. So it's a long bed, step side, big window, but original paint, which is all I cared about, you know, and I didn't know how to shorten a bed, but if I had to, I was going to, you know, and I actually did, but I ended up swapping it for a fleet side from California, just the bed.
Were you looking for the bed?
As I look on Craigslist, you'll see stuff in the background. You know, I'm very keen and I focus on things, not only the picture, but things behind it in the background. And I saw something in the background of this other gentleman's, you know, post. And I asked him if that bed was for sale. And he said, yeah. So I had made him an offer. I think I paid $1,000 for the bed. And then it cost me about that to get it over here. So it was pretty expensive to get here, but I got it here. And that was from California as well. So
it shows up. Are you, you know, that sometimes you'll do a transaction that's, you know,
yeah,
I haven't done East Coast to West Coast, but you do the long distance relationship, the bed shows up and you're completely and totally let down. I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, more than not, I'm let down more than I'm, impressed, you know, type deal, right, where somebody, you know, it comes a little bit more rusty, it comes a little bit more dinged up. The bed shows up. What are you thinking? How to work out?
The bed showed up was from California originally. So it, you know, there's nothing out east that compares to anything out west as far as metal goes, you know? So to me, it was a home run, right? It had no weight loss, meaning, you know, rust. It had a couple of dings and dents, right? Standard. It's about 60 years old. It's gonna have that, right? And my biggest challenge now, you like to talk about what were some of my challenges, is now, you know, I don't know how to paint. You know, how am I gonna make this bed match this cab that I have that's original and I polished it, you know? And that's something I really don't talk about, you know, how I was able to match and the process taken to attain that look, you know. Yeah, it's forced patina that I had to do, but in my head, this is what it should have looked like after you polish it. So that's why it has that smooth, you know, almost sheen to it, because the factory one that I polished has a sheen to it. And I ended up painting the bed to try to match the cab, and it's a 55 fleet side, which never existed.
Was that hard to you know, learn to do that, to learn to match that paint? How did you go about that? Did you color match, go down to a store and get some paint, or what was the process?
Yeah, great question. So I took a fender over to a store, a paint store, and automotive paint store, and I said, you know, can you match this? So it was a tailgate. I took the tailgate over there. Tailgate off the step side. I took it over there. They tried to match it or what have you. They got pretty close.
Which, for the audience, that's the original tailgate, because the step side was part of the North Dakota truck, correct?
Correct. Okay. It was a long bed, step side, big window from North Dakota, and then I replaced the bed for a fleet side bed. So now I have to paint the fleet side bed. So I put myself, you know, this may seem weird to people, but I put myself in the shoes of a raindrop, or in the shoes of a ray of the sun. You know, which direction does it go? You know, down, right? It only comes down. Gravity's gonna bring you down, pull you down. So patina has to happen that way. It has to go down. Like the weather, unless you're getting road rash, which is gonna go horizontal and back, you're gonna get a downward force that's bringing this weathering to the vehicle. And obviously, if there's any human, you know, the oils from your body, from your skin, will start wearing stuff. So you'll see that on the doors, you know, where people live. Arms and stuff. But unless you're looking at, you know, fleet side 60s and up, sometimes you see horizontal lines on the bed. And I think that's caused from the whirlwind of the bumper or the tailgate, and you see lines that are horizontal. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Anyway, that's a side note. So I said, all right, so if I was a water droplet, if I was sun, if I was dirt, if I was a rock that hit, this is the direction I would go. And using that mindset is how I did the whole bed. And you know, it came out, I think it came out pretty good. Is there room for improvement? Always. But I've never painted anything, not even my nails, you know, and I think it did all right, you know. And I was honored, you know. I'm gonna throw this in there. You know, GSI asked me, hey, would you like to bring GSI Machine Fabrication? Would you like to bring this truck to SEMA? And I said, like, what's SEMA? I've never been there. What is that? You know? And it's the biggest car show and whatever. So I said, yeah, I'd be honored. So I actually drove from Miami on a trailer, drove it up there, and then drove it back, and then went to Dino's afterwards, and so on and so forth. But
so to again, you've got a long bed chassis. So you back half that chassis
on the 55.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
yeah.
So sorry. So
yes.
On the 55, it was a long bed step side. So I removed the cab, I sold the engine and the chassis, and I ordered a frame from a full airbag suspension frame from GSI.
Okay.
And when that came, and I had it powder coated, you know, Wimbledon white, which is a early Ford color, and the 55 rests on top of the GSI chassis.
And this truck was also in CK magazine. So again, you've been street trucks with the 59 green, and then with the 55 GMO, you were recently in CK truck magazine. And probably the only reason why Tan Lines wasn't in a magazine is because you sold it before you did anything with it. And in my mind, I'd probably pick that truck as my favorite, at least, you know, Tri-5 style truck, because I just like those colors. But
yeah, it's a rare combination there. It's a very, very rare combination. Yeah, I was once again honored to want to be, you know, photographed and put on the cover of CK magazine. And, you know, and the guys behind it are very passionate about trucks, and they own trucks, and they do truck shows, and they're out in the scene and really making a name for themselves and shaking people's hands, which is always nice, you know.
Yeah. And good for you. You go in, you know, a newcomer. You've got, you're in street trucks, you're in CK, you go to SEMA, you've got a full GSI chassis. You've had a little flavor of, you know, a fever for the flavor of a Pringle here. You've doing a little bit of everything. You're getting the full experience. You're getting the e-ticket ride. And
I am. And without knowing, you know, I'm just doing what I think and what I find, to be attractive or alluring and calling to me, you know, and surprised that people like it, you know, and glad they do at the same time, you know, glad they do. And you know, I've been inspired by, you know, this is not all out of the internet and reading, and you know, I've been inspired by a lot of trucks that I see, you know. And
who is give me a builder or two that really inspires you, somebody who, while you're inspiring others with your style, your attention to detail. Sure. I'll tell you right now, I'm absolutely inspired by the way I love your attention to detail. I love that no stone goes unturned, and I didn't know this until you just said it, but hey, when I'm done with a truck, I'm done with a truck.
Yeah,
that is an absolute rarity. Sam and I talk about this all the time. So many trucks get to that 90 percentile, and then people get in them, people drive them. Their lives are very busy, and it's very, very hard to do that final 10%, that final 5%, and to find out that you're wrapping it up, you're checking all your T's
everything.
and your I's are dots, and the so on and so forth. So you're definitely very thorough in that, and that's to be commended.
Yeah, it's like if in the medical field, if you're gonna perform a manipulation or a surgery, right? You can't leave the inside, and you can't heartbeat and breathing, right? You gotta run the whole gamut. To me, you gotta start it and you gotta finish it, and that's just the way my brain works. I'm gonna start this 75 square body, my birth year, right, and I'm gonna finish it, all the way through. And it's easy to get distracted, right? Oh man, look at this one, look at that one, look at this one, look at that one. But ultimately, you don't want to be a collector of parts and projects. At least I don't. Nothing wrong with that. You're not a hoarder. You're a collector.
I'm a collector, and I don't want to be a collector. I want to be. I'm inspired by a guy who can do one or two at a time, and I need to work on that. But so go back to the original. I know I kind of threw a lot at you there, but who's somebody who you look to? Maybe give me a handful, 1, 2, 3 guys that you look to as their builds, and you're on Instagram, and you're like, dude, I really dig this guy's style.
Yeah, the first guy I came across was Delmo on YouTube. And his I guess style of original and low, that called me, and me having my mom's, right, the 68 OG paint, now my 59 OG paint. Now I'm going on YouTube and I'm seeing this, and those were the early videos that really inspired me and motivated me, and I'm all the way on this side of the world where this scene doesn't really exist, right? And I'll have to say him and another guy, that's a tremendous person, and builder, and the wavelength that he communicates at is, I'm going to say, Jason Berlin from Arizona High Test. I totally understand when he's speaking, when he's writing. It's not just a quick blurb. He's really thinking about what he's saying. Even in his text messages, there'll be a comma, there'll be a period, there'll be 2 spaces, then there'll be directions, and I work that way too. My brain categorizes things in a certain way. So it's funny. I'm smiling because I understand him and the way he is, and I was honored. I'm fast forwarding a lot. I just came back from Arizona maybe 3 weeks ago, and I stayed with him at his house, and what are the chances of that happening if I hadn't had one of these old trucks, And I really got to know, the person behind Arizona High Test, and I can't say enough about it. And I hope he listens to this and he hears that, and because this goes out to him,
Yeah.
So he's another inspiration to me, because the level of detail that he goes into to make sure things are a certain way, I totally understand that and see that.
Cool. I think you're nailing it, and we're fortunate. Both those guys are close to home. They obviously AZ guys, and then Dell, and so I back that full fledged, especially when you think about some of the detail there. So you've had a bunch of different trucks in there. You are kind of on a roll of Tri-5 stuff, Task Force stuff. Now you get a square body. What are you thinking here?
Square body. Yeah, definitely a round eye. It's definitely a later model for me. When I'm kind of, my signature is the Tri-5 or 55, 59 era. 60 to 66, I never really messed with a lot. I had 1 or 2 just to have them because original paint, and I had to have here. I just wanted to have it. I didn't really want to build it to do a full build actually with that era, just because I don't know. I didn't feel it. So fast forward to the 75 that I have here. This is a custom deluxe. It's I'm very picky, for lack of a better word. So it has to have the right color. It has to have the right patina. It has to be, a certain year, especially now that I'm dabbling outside of my comfort zone, right? I've never built a square body. So here I'm doing one now. And I found it. you know. Most of my vehicles have always been charcoal gray, and this one is charcoal gray, although on the spit sheet inside the glove box, the build sheet, it says Saratoga silver. It's really not silver. It's more like a charcoal. And it was charcoal. So I found it in one of Boris's. He's another inspiration. I forgot to mention him.
For sure.
Boris and his builds, you know.
Street Machinery for the audience. Boris up in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Street Machinery, the man, the myth, the legend. We've had him on. Hell, I need to get him back on, to be honest with you.
Get him with his sidekick.
Oh yeah,
Jerome, man.
Jerome, when you talk about, you were talking about painting and thinking like a ray of sun and a droplet. I was thinking, man, Jerome you're speaking to the master there.
I didn't know him or his work, you know, when I was doing this. I did not. Anyway, so back to I'm going through Boris's page, just looking at stuff, because most of the stuff he has is OG patina stuff, you know, which is up my alley. And I see this square body there, and it says Rust Box, California. The tag's from California, right? And I look at it, I go, man, I've never built a square body, but now, you know, I'm down a truck. What do I do? Let me build another one. I have never done one of these. So I said, well, if it's a 75, my birth year, let me, what are the chances? Oh, it's a 75. Oh, here we go. So I buy a plane ticket. I go in for my brother. I say, hey, we're gonna Lake Erie, Ohio, just right on the lake. And he goes, oh, let's go. He's down for anything. My brother at Iron Green. And we fly into Ohio, right? Euclid, Ohio. And I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I go see Boris, and he shows me this 75 square body one behind me. And, you know, I already had done the whole research behind it. I knew where he had gotten it in California, and I shipped it over to Ohio. He hadn't even touched it since he got it. And it went unnoticed on his Instagram. And he has a very big Instagram, and no one really paid any attention to it, you know, and maybe that's what turned me on to it. So why aren't people looking at it? Because it just showed bad. It was weathered. It had these, on the bed, it had these hooks on it. You know, came from, I don't know where, in the desert in California, Moab Desert, I think it was, China Lake. Yeah, belonged to some Air Force guy, and it wasn't very appealing. But I saw beyond that. My builds are usually done in my head before I get them, so now I have to go find the canvas, which is this guy. So long story short, let me fast forward. We go to the title agency. He'd done a fluids check. No problem. Sign over the title, gets a quick title. We go outside and everything is white. And I go, wait a minute. I just flew here from Miami. Now everything is white. It just snowstorm just came by. And it wasn't cold when we went into the title company, right? I said, what the hell? All right, so we're in shorts and a t-shirt and it's snowing. I'm like, all right, now I got to drive this thing 3 on the tree, right? Inline 6.
Nice.
One-way ticket. That's what I do. I buy one-way ticket and I drive them. So I drove from Ohio all the way to Miami in this truck that's behind me. And it's actually on my YouTube channel. I posted it. And
your brother's with you?
Here it is. My brother was with me. We stopped by Walmart. We bought winter gear and a big plastic tote. My brother even bought a sleeping bag, and outside the car, he opened the sleeping bag, jumped inside of it, said, open the door. I opened the door, and then he jumped inside the truck, inside the sleeping bag. And we couldn't figure out the heater because the button was broken to slide. The little heater, and we had a lot of panels. So wind's cutting us right through us. And we got
and for the audience, Chuck's brother is he's a big man.
About 290, 6'2". He's a big fella.
Yeah.
And we're freezing. I don't care how big he is. We're still freezing in there. And what a journey, man, you know, from all the way up there, all the way to Miami. And it made it without not one hiccup, man. Not one hiccup.
Super How long impressed. Did that take you guys?
We did it in a day and a half. So the first day we drove about 8 hours. The next day we did about, 15 or so. And went all the way through, you know, 3 on the tree, inline 6. I bought a little gas tank, ran out of gas once because I didn't know, I didn't know how to judge that ascending unit yet, because they all have their own little quirks. But other than that, there was no issues with that whole truck, and I'm very, very happy to say it's behind me now, and it has a great story behind it. So another one from the West Coast, you know.
Don't you just love though the journey of that, like that experience? Now you've bonded with this truck, you, your brother,
Oh, totally.
Boris, and so that's what I loved, for the audience. Like, life is about that journey, and we're lucky that we're just putting these trucks into our life's journey. But it's like, hey, I'm one way in this thing. We're making it home, a little bit of roadkill-esque. And obviously you probably told Boris, hey, make sure I can drive this thing home, and he's going to always take care of you. That's the kind of guy he is. Some guys out there, maybe not, but you guys, you jump in, and so you didn't spend the night anywhere. You just pushed through the whole time.
We stopped in North Carolina. We slept the night, and then continued all the way down to Miami. And no AC. We didn't need AC down here. I'm sorry, no heater. We needed it over there, but just window down and cruising, man. No radio, so good conversations, and we couldn't believe we're in this 45-year-old truck, 3 on the tree, inline 6, and then it's just buzzing all the way down. So that's my current build on another GSI chassis.
Well, and we talked about your mom. She's got that artistic ability. You've obviously got a vision. You've got a plan. You talk about a canvas.
Yeah.
You envision it. You say, hey, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to get a square body. I'm going to build it. Are you, as a builder now somebody who was sitting online and looking at Dell and looking at Arizona High Test and looking at Boris or whoever might be online now, are you the guy that, do you build it all and order all your parts, or a certain amount of your parts first before you start? Or walk us through your plan. You plan your work, work your plan.
Yeah. So first I envisioned this vehicle that I want to build next, right? So this truck, obviously a Chevy truck, and whatever inspired me or whatever motivated me to want this one, but I didn't think this existed, right? 75 charcoal gray looking, which is the color, one of my favorite colors. I don't think it existed, and it did. So when that came to life, I said, all right, so I want to do the OG plus technique to it, right? So keep it as original as possible. It's a custom deluxe, so that was like the base model basically.
With a 3 on the tree and an inline 6, I think we got that part figured out.
Right, pretty base for the audience, right?
No AC, no AC.
No AC, but it's already converted to an AC, which is fairly simple, to do. Just change the dashboard and the I guess the bezel around the steering column or what have you. And I added this cab trim to it. I don't know if you can see it there. It's just the cab trim, and I have a factory original trim for the entire truck that all the dents have been removed, and it's been polished, cleaned, and I repainted the entire black stripe on all the trim. That took me 2 days to do. So I'm going to put trim on this truck.
So do you have a name for this truck like the others?
No, I don't. It's got an odd name, Saratoga Silver. So maybe Sarah, or I just call it the 75. I still haven't gotten to that point. Maybe I never will, but it's definitely part of me, and I'm on it, man. I'm really, really on it. And each build, builds on top of the last build, So I'm using a GSI like I did on my last build over there in Arizona to do all the hard lines, AccuAir. Now I know what an LS is, right? So I got an LS1 that I took out of a Firebird with 75,000 miles, original owner. I drove the Firebird convertible to my house, and I laid it to rest, man. I pulled its heart out. So it's going to a good place. It's in here, and I just went through all the gaskets, changed the back, the rear main and all the gaskets in it, and had the F-body oil pan, which we all desire, already had it. And keeping it stock, I go for reliability and for drivability. I don't think trucks that are on bags are designed for too much performance as far as, you know, trying to get some lateral G's out of a turn or something like that, right? So I go for reliability, you know, very, very pragmatic approach on the builds. You know, what am I going to use it for? I'm gonna want to drive it to Texas and back. I'm going to want to drive it to all these other shows that are very far away from me. And I typically do drive my truck to all these shows. To Battle and Bam, I drove GMO, my 55 up and back. I drove it to LST up and back. To me, that's also a testament to myself that I'm confident in what I did, you know, and if it doesn't work, then I got to up my game a little bit. So it's almost my final exam when I go on one of these long road trips.
Well, and you keep passing your final exam again. That's part of the journey, right? That's part of right. The funny thing though is this time you started off driving the test, and then now you're going to have to pass it. What would you say is, you know, some of the different challenges or learning curve when you went from, you know, 67 72s, then you went to, you know, your Tri-5s and your Task Force 58 59. And now you're doing your first 75 square body?
I'm going to say that there's a lot more. Well, 67, 72 is a lot of parts available. 55, 59, there aren't too many parts available. And these hard parts guys, which is the guys who have the hard parts to find, right? Hard parts. They're very hard to find in the 55, 59. So, sorry, yeah, 55, 59. So now in these square bodies, like, there's all these great companies that now offer parts for them. And, you know, some companies I prefer better than others. And I've been able to find those companies that I really, really like to give it that OG plus, you know, twang that I'm going to do to it.
So we have this thing called Angie's List. Now they just changed it to Angie. I'm not bullshitting you here. I swear to God, I'm not. I think we should make Chuck's list, and you really should, because you think about it, you're not in it for the money, you're not in it for you know, any of that, and you also are the same guy who says, hey, when I started this, I just typed in Google best, and then what came next was what I got from it. So yeah, I do think that you should share that, whether that's on your YouTube, you know, maybe push people to your YouTube, but you do seem to me as a guy who's very fair, and you're going to do the process and the due diligence. So whether that's AC company, a wiring company, a dash company, door handles, trim, so on and so forth, you're going to save a lot of people some time and some headache. And one thing I've learned is you get what you pay for. You know, it's really, you know, lowest bid doesn't mean best deal. And sometimes as a guy who's in his mid 40s to another guy who's in his mid 40s, part of the fun part is when we're younger, you know, I got a 19-year-old son, he loves doing it the hard way. Well, the older we get, the less we want to do it quite as hard.
Yeah, it's like that. I think you have an air freshener that's a cassette tape, right? C10 Talk little cassette tape. So we're on side B of that tape, aren't Ronnie? You know, and that best deal, just because it's cheaper, isn't really the best deal when you're limited on time. So, man, yeah, that truck is cheap. I can get it. I'll fix the rockers. You're probably not going to fix the rockers. And once you realize the money it takes to get it to where you wanted it, that truck you spent, you know, $7,000 on, you could have bought the $11,000 one and not dealt with any of that. And how many times you're going to hear hit yourself on that branch? It's not a miss twice, you know. Now it's on purpose, you know.
Yeah. We can't stick the pencil in and rewind that tape. You know, we already switched it over, so now we're on side B. I mean, if you think about it, we're probably mid 40s. Whether we like it or not, we're definitely on side B. And so, you know, we want to. Somebody told me this once. I've relayed this 1,000 times. The older you get, the faster it goes. So that side B is going to go a lot faster than side A. And so there's a point there where you think, man, I don't want to spend that much time and that much money and that effort. I want to get the right part and get it done.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you should know that by, well, a lot of us know that by this time, right? And like you said, and I'll give the analogy of a roll of toilet paper, right? The closer you get to the end, the faster it spins. Same difference, you know, and we're spinning pretty. We're not redlining yet, but we're spinning pretty fast, and you don't got time to do it if you're spend the extra money up front, and you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. You know, that's I'm not a pro, so that's a semi-pro tip. You know,
Now you're semi-pro though. You're like Will Ferrell. You're at least semi-pro. And I'll
semi-pro tip of the day.
I will tell you, I am for the audience. I just talked to my buddy Sammy Castronova literally last week. The switch has flipped. I just switched it over to side B, and I finally have realized that I'm not on side A anymore. I am not on side A anymore, and that's a big. I don't know whether that's a hard thing to accept or it's a good thing. But once you realize that, for me, I think I had some stress and some it's just like, okay, I'm not on side A anymore. I'm officially on side B. Quit fucking around with all this other shit, and you know, get in the truck that you want to build, get after it, sit in that truck and enjoy it instead of watching it sit there for 3 years or whatever it might be. So we're on side B, brother. This, I'm going to call this the name of this podcast is side B.
But at the same time, it's a blessing, you know, that we made it to side B, you know?
Well, and honestly, you're right. It's a huge blessing, but a very important thing too. And for the audience and the guys that are still on side A, you're going to learn a lot while you're on side A. So hopefully once you get to side B, we can look back and say, this is what we learned, by being on side A. Some guys, they learn a lot better and they learn faster, and maybe they got bigger checkbooks and some of their experiences are different, but,
everyone is different. Absolutely.
Yeah. When you get through, you know, one of the things to kind of add to this fun analogy is one of the things growing up and being in our mid 40s is we did have cassette tapes. And I can tell you there's a Def Leppard song, a Van Halen song, an NWA song, a Too Short song, there's so many, a George Strait song, a Garth Brooks. There's a song there that I would have never heard if it wasn't for being on a cassette tape, because I could have skipped it. So being part of side A, I'll never want to change that, because, you know, I'm glad that I got to hear that song, and maybe it's not my favorite song, but that's part of that journey. And that's part of the drive with your brother, and part of the drive when you finish the trucks. And kumbaya, reminiscing on the mid 40s guy and the you know, the talk, but we're on side B. We're blessed to be here, but we've learned. And so going back, I do think you really should, I want to see that. I'm going to push this. I'm not going to give you much of a chance on it to not, but I want to know who Chuck's list is. You know, the A list. Now we got the C list. Okay, Chuck's C list, and we want to see, you know, who's he working with. He's working with top quality companies who are going to take some of the guesswork out of it, and you know, the best shit for the builds.
Yeah, and it also depends on your style and most of all your budget, you know. But sometimes if you have 2 or 3 trucks, you know, let one truck fund the next truck. You know, if I'm gonna build that one day, 97% chances that you're not. Move that one on and allow the funds and the proceeds from that one allow you to finish this one, the one you really want to build. And you know, as soon as you know you're on side B, then that comes a lot faster, you know?
Yeah. I kind of enjoy the moment. So we brought up your YouTube. I do want to get to your time out here in Arizona. So for the audience, he did spend some time out here. We're going to adopt him, but you got to do some stuff with Jason Berland, AZ High Test, Arizona High Test. You learned a lot, I assume, while you were out here.
Yeah, you froze for like 8 seconds. So rewind.
Give me the belt buckle then. So you were out Arizona. Here in AZ. You were out in AZ. You were hanging out with Arizona High Test, Jason Berland, who again is highly detailed for the audience. You can jump back to last year. We did some in shop, in studio interviews with Jason, and you know, he's the guy who's going to do the wiring. He's going to hide it, the tubing, the bending, the air line, the fuel line, and highly detailed chassis works. Really is the way I would look at it. You came out, you went through AZ High Test University. what, what'd you learn?
A lot of things, that there's still good people out there. That's number one, and I can sit here and honestly say that about Jason. And who am I? Who's this guy from Miami that I'm gonna allow into my house, into my home, for 2 weeks? Um, I'm a low footprint type of guy. I don't need much. Give me a pillow and a Propel. That's what I drink.
Nice.
And he bought a couple of cases of Propel and gave me a room in his house, and I was honored to be there. What did I learn? I learned a lot. Business management, shop management. I don't have a shop. I don't have a lift. I've never worked a lift. I worked a lift at a shop. So did I learn something? Yeah, I learned how to work a lift. How about that? I learned that you can't touch metal outside in Arizona. At the end of the day, we have to push cars in and out, and it's like touching a stove. I learned that about heat, out there. Man, there's just so much that I took in and that I learned. I don't know where to begin, but if you just scroll through his Instagram account, Arizona High Test, anything and everything that's on there is stuff that we touched on and that I perfected from my previous builds. That there were still, I thought they were very well done, but now we're just taking it to the next level just by watching and observing him, and his staff. He's got a great crew in there, and that's like the A team over there, man. They all know their role, and they do it, to the best of their abilities, and those guys are killing it out there, and I'm very honored to be part of that. So that was a couple of weeks ago that was there.
I'm assuming that you are a guy who's already highly motivated. You talk about going to bed, 2, 3 in the morning, you're jamming your tunes. It's very therapeutic.
Very.
I got to imagine you get on that plane to go home and you were probably, I wouldn't say reinvigorated because you're already vigorated. So you're a guy who's like, man, I almost feel like I just flipped it back to side A because I'm so damn pumped.
No, what it was, I got like a 3000 grit polish is what I got, and he really did it to me, man. And I'm happy to have experienced, being with him and being in his shop, and I hope I wasn't in the way. I didn't ask for feedback, but I kind of want it, because how do I improve, right? But just, the methodology of how he does things and the structure, I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan. Why? Because it works, and I've employed all those tactics into my builds, and so far my builds work, for me, whenever I take them somewhere, I'm confident, it was a great experience.
Good.
I tell you, man.
So what's next with Sarah, the silver, Squarebody, Sarah, the silver Squarebody? What's next? Where are you at with this build? What do we have to look forward to on the Chuck C page?
All right. So this week, I think I might've posted something, or maybe my stories on Chuck, at Chuck C. I posted, I got my drive shaft from something drivetrain. Kill me. I don't remember the name right now. Something powertrain, driveline, powertrain, or something like that. They did a phenomenal job with my drive shaft. I installed that. I'm working on I'm doing remote coils on my LS1. Right, because this truck has an mounted on my valve covers. I remote mounted them behind the heads, but nobody makes.
There's been a few times where we've lost you, but you've come back pretty quick. So go right back to the LS1, right? Bam, LS1, and then we.
So the LS1 that's in this truck, I have remote mounted the coil packs. So Summit sells, generic universal coil pack relocation mounts, but they don't work for me. So I had to make my own. So the last 2 days, I've been designing my own coil pack relocation remote mount brackets, and they're done. So I got all everything's usually stainless with me. So I'll do all my stainless, which, you know, it holds up better against the elements in general. Not that I leave my trucks outside. They're always in a climate controlled, you know, my studio here. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks. What I was working on today was my spark plug wires, right? The ones that go from the coil to the spark plug from the remote location where I have my coil packs, which is behind the heads, right between the firewall and the head. I was able to sneak them in there, and they're kind of, you know, they're hidden enough, and they're safe. They're not going to get warm. And now I just got to find a nice way of routing those lines. Very minimalistic. I don't want anything. I'm not trying to highlight the cables, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm using MSD black cables with a gray boot that kind of match the chassis. The chassis is gray, and I'll be working in the engine bay. And as soon as I can get that buttoned up, I'll post something. So I like documenting my build as I go. It's not like I'm not trying to say, hey, look at me, but in a way I am trying to say that just so I can help the next guy. Because when I was doing this, we didn't have this style of social media and this Q&A that you can do, you know, by DMing people, right? So I'll get a lot of DMs, and I'm happy to answer them, because there's not a one source you can go to for a specific thing that you want. You know, you can Google, what is an LS motor? It's very general. You know, I'm more focused and keen on one specific thing. If one person learned, then, you know, goal has been accomplished, because that'll help that person.
Well, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. So there's going to be more people that are going to learn over time, and they're going to have that question, and your answer might be something that fields, you know, that for them. So I think that, you know, so going into the documentation part of it on your Instagram makes it just stupid, silly, simple to do that. You had a run for a while. You were working on your YouTube channel, Chuck C. So Chuck, common spelling, C, S-E-E, and then Classic Trucks. How's that going? I just know it's a lot of work. Is that something where you're like, it's just too much damn work, or it takes away from what you're trying to do? Or
so Chuck C Classic Trucks is just elaborating more on the snippets that you get from Instagram. You know, I know you can do a story, what have you, but YouTube is just another platform, and you don't have to interact as much, so I can get it out there, and it's more of a tutorial what I do on YouTube, again to help educate me as an educator, you know, and to a certain extent. I want to show the next guy what I did, what worked, what didn't. Usually I'll show what did work, so to cut out, you know, time that we're running out of, let them go direct to the point, to the source, learn what they got to do, and watch the next YouTube video, or look at my Instagram. I'll always try to leave a gift whenever I do a post, you know. It would help me. And I think I try to envision what I post to see if it would interest me. So if I can learn something out of it, I think it's a lot more interesting at the end of the day, you know?
Well, and remember that even though, like you said, you're not really one to show it off, but if people continue to come back, they're liking what they're seeing, what they're learning, and what you're teaching them, because you're teaching them your trial, your error, your journey. And again, that's why I think, you know, we need Chuck C's list, and we kind of could go from there. I'm going to blow through a few here. Some of them are just random. I did just have, with my ADHD kick in, Jefferson Starship is who sang the song Sarah. So we might have to come up with some sort of Starship, Squarebody Starship or something. That might be a little long. Okay, so some random stuff. I want to really make sure we do let the audience know that he's a high builder who's doing it in his garage without a lift. I do want to mention that, because
I lost you at let the audience. I lost you.
Let the audience know that you're a high caliber builder who obviously you're published. You're doing what you're doing. It's passion for you, a hobby that's a passion. But I just want to make sure I emphasize that this is a guy who's building these trucks in a 2-car, I'm going to say 22 by 22 square foot garage with a 7-foot ceiling, and you're doing probably 85 to 92% of it right there.
Yeah. I've
Yes.
I've done my exhaust in the last 3 trucks, and I don't weld stainless, but I can tack it, right? So I tack my exhaust together and I take it to a professional TIG welder, and he whips it around for me. That was the only thing that I really had to farm out. Otherwise, now within me or the next guy, you can definitely do it inside your shop. I do build wheel cribs, and on my Instagram, if you look back real far back, I show you how to build them. I have all the specs there on my Instagram on a post that I made. Wheel cribs are just little stands that you put under each wheel. So now you can crawl underneath, above, around your truck, and without, moral of the story, I don't have a lift. So this is my caveman lift,
Yep. So you guys jump over to Chuck C's Classic Trucks, get on his YouTube. Kind of a speed round here. What's one of the trucks you wish you could have back? If you could have one truck, what's the truck you wish you could have back that you hadn't sold yet?
Probably my mom's.
Really? All right, cool.
Yeah, the 68, because I really like the that slant nose look that they have. 67, 68. I'm kind of leaning towards a small window right now, 6.7. It's only year of the big window option, the last year of the optional rear window. If you want a big or small, I like the small window. It gives it like the 1950s gangster vibe. At least I think it does. So I'm always looking for a 67. Anybody out there know of one? Original paint, obviously.
Is that kind of a benchmark build for you then? If I said what would be your next build, do you think it would be the 67?
It would be, I have a 68 right now, 55,000 miles that I drove from Arkansas down. I drove it down last year, flew in and drove it down, typical a la Chuck style. And if I don't find the 67, I'll build the 68, and it'll probably be coilover, just a low coilover situation. It's already stick shift, so maybe I'll keep 3 pedals, maybe I won't. Let's see. But that one runs and drives. I'm not messing with that right now because I only do one at a time. Or else it's I'm too in deep or involved in like I'm a one truck relationship guy, at a time.
Yeah, so you're giving it all your focus. What do you do with the other trucks when you're consumed with this one truck? Do you just keep them somewhere stored, somewhere safe out of the elements?
I have dry storage that keeps everything out of elements, and I have a big fan that's constantly running through there. And then I go to, once a week I go over. It's here at my house. I go over, I turn it on, I let it idle, make sure everything runs fine. And then if the day's really nice, I'll take it out for a spin and put it back. I only have 2 other trucks. It's not like I got so many other ones. So
yeah.
68 and then the 55 GMO.
Boating, I've seen you, kind of Miami style. I've seen you out fishing, out boating. That's obviously another hobby.
Yeah, that was pre-trucks. So I had a little boat, and I would do a lot of spearfishing. I like the hunting underwater, and I got a bunch of stories about that. So that was another chapter in my pre-truck days. And I'm actually going lobstering tomorrow, so I'll be spearfishing and lobstering tomorrow. I don't know if I'll post anything because usually my truck page is about trucks, and I like to keep it trucks. But if we have a good day, maybe I'll post a couple of bugs. We call the lobsters bugs, so I'll post a couple of bugs there on the story. If we can do something. But
is that something you do with some friends? Your brother? Who do you do that with?
I do that with another buddy because you don't give up your fishing spots, and I have these specific lobstering spots that so I'll go out there and I'll do my lobster deal, and then we'll have a lobster feast, and I give most of them away. That's just, I don't know, because I like, not many people get the chance to eat fresh lobster, and I think it's a delicacy. So I give it to close family and friends, and then we make some here at the house. But I enjoy hunting. I enjoy catching them and holding my breath for 30 seconds or so and chasing them and stuff. So it's fun. I know it's out of the truck topic, but it's kind of who I am, and I'll still do some free diving.
Yeah, it sounds no, I love it. It sounds fun. How deep do you have to go? Are you just snorkeling and just diving down?
Yeah, so we free dive, so it's like 15, 20 feet. We go down, and then you wrestle with the lobster, and they're pretty interesting creatures. They don't have claws. These aren't Maine lobsters with claws and pincers that bite you. They just have two antennas, and they point them at you because they're spiky. But you catch them from the back. So anyway, it's cool. You can YouTube that. That's a whole nother.
So they don't
whole other
they
creature.
obviously have no claw, but they've got front legs or anything right there, or nothing.
Yeah, they got like eight little legs.
Okay.
And they swim backwards. So if you come at them from the front, they're gonna swim away from you. So you just put a net behind them, and then you make an ugly face, which isn't hard for me to do, and they get scared right into the net.
Nice. You're like the boogeyman. You're the lobster, the bug man. So you're catching
the boogeyman.
That does sound fun, and it also sounds very, very yummy. So, okay, give me something that you wanted to do but haven't yet. So something like hot rod power tour, hot rod power tour, a show that you'd want to hit, something like that. Something that's on this adventure list for Chuck C that you haven't checked off yet.
I'd like to go. I do go far in my current truck. I'd like to go further in this one, the 75. I read an article. I'm not sure where, probably online. The Hall of Fame tour, which is like 75 vehicles, 150 people, and you have a pit crew that goes with you, and it's expensive, but I think the journey, it will be so worth it. All your hotels are set up, all your meals are set up, and all your shop visits are predetermined. So logistically, everything's been taken care of. You just got to show up with your hot rod and go on this adventure. So I think that's an ultimate goal that I'd like to do that I have not done.
Cool. Yeah, I think our buddy Vern has done that. I think about 2 years ago, he took square headlights, square body. I think it was Vern, but that definitely would be a very fun. Obviously, the stress. I think Hot Rod Power Tour alone, when it gets back to normal and they're going, some of the different trips, and it seems like this year it is going to be in August, but it's a tighter route. So that was my bucket list goal for 2020, and it just didn't happen. So
Right.
Something I would want to get back. And then obviously Boris is involved with that because usually he's having a little kickoff party. So maybe someday we'll both get to do that and do a little hot rod power tour.
That'd be fun.
Okay. So let's get into kind of take it home with this. You've got a guy you went to high school with who we're very, both of us are very fond of. The scene is fond of because he's just as crazy as can be. You help him with what we've been calling it, the PTS. What do we call it?
PTTS.
Yeah, PTTSD. So yeah, he calls it PTTS, which is Pro Touring Truck Shootout. I think I've renamed it the PTTSD. So Pro Touring Truck Stress Disorder. But you and Arnie, you helped him out in Bowling Green, his first one, which was last year, August. Then you guys came out. You were kind of part of the truck show. He's going to be back November of this year. I think it's 12th and 13th. But more than you just helping him out and everything else, you guys have I assume a kind of a rekindled friendship from high school. And how can you not really love Chuck and really not love Arnie? So I think it works out.
Yeah, Arnie, we went to school together. He has on his Instagram handle is Pro Touring Truck Shootout, and he has a lot of aspirations, dreams, and many ideas. And I'm a real good listener. He said he wanted to do this Pro Touring Truck thing. I said all right. So I know nothing about handling and racing, but is there going to be like a truck show aspect of it? He's like, absolutely. I said, all right, well, I'll handle the truck show. I'll help you with that if I can in any way. So, I reach out to people, and I post it all over my Instagram when we're getting close to the date. This year will be in November in Beach Bend Park, Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's actually where LS Fest is held. I've never been, but it's a real nice venue. The weather will be great. It's going to be in November. I know it's the same time as Dino's, so that poses a challenge, but there's an East Coast and there's a West Coast scene, and a lot of the guys from the East Coast can't always make it to the West Coast to Dino's. And either way, it's a win-win. Unfortunately, scheduling didn't allow us to change the dates. So I ended up on the same date as Dino's, but the Pro Touring Truck Shootout will happen in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And hopefully all the East Coast guys and whoever from the West Coast that wants to come down is invited as well, you know. There's autocross, there's a drivability cruise, which you get to cruise. We establish a route, and I typically spearhead that route. And a lot of rolling shots, magazine coverage, and truck show. And once again, you know, like you say, the people are cooler, and they definitely are. So if you own a truck, come on out. We'd love to have you.
Will you have your 75? Is that your goal, to have it done for the Pro Touring Truck Shootout?
I haven't made a deadline, but I think that would be a good deadline now that you mention it, you know. Let's see, like things are going pretty smooth now. I'm not waiting on any parts. So it's just me, you know, investing time and getting it done, you know. But those coil brackets that I had to make, you know, to remote mount my coil packs took me a day and a half. So that burned a lot of time. So all those little nuances burned some time, but at the end, I think I can get it done. The articulating bed floor will be the biggest challenge, where the tricky bed shocks come in and make the bed go up and down. That's probably one of the hardest parts, but once you get it done, it's one of the best parts in my opinion, you know.
Well, and that's also Arnie's Instagram is Tricky Air, and Tricky Air Arnie, and so that'll be good to see on that.
Yep.
Did you and Arnie, you guys were friends in high school, probably?
Yep.
I don't know whether you were best friends or just acquaintances, and then you get into automotive, you get into trucks in 2013. Did you guys reconnect at that point, or were you friends still throughout?
It was yeah. He moved. He was here in Miami for his high school and post high school years, and then ended up in Tennessee. And we lost touch, you know. And he's a big motorcycle guy. So Tricky Air does motorcycle air suspension. You know, the best in the business, and quality wise, it's just superb. So he built a motorcycle for me many years ago. I knew nothing. I didn't even know how to ride a motorcycle, but I thought they were cool, right? So I learned how to drive a custom motorcycle, and it was on bags or air shocks, right? And he moved out of here, and then I went ahead and built two other motorcycles. One went to China, the other one went to some rapper here, and some local rapper bought my last one. I'm just out of the bike. To me, it was art, but it was very dangerous art. And I went ahead and retired from the bike scene. And he continues to run his business as, you know, Tricky Air for motorcycle air suspension. And I said, well, why can't, you know, can I lift my bed? It's 3/4 inch, you know, oak, and I'm having to lift it. So I FaceTime him and I go, hey, what do you think we can do about this? He's like, all right, stop. And hammer time. No, he said, get this measurement, get that measurement. So I took all the measurements. He made me the shock cylinders. I welded some brackets, and we came up with the Tricky Air bed shocks. And now it's, you know, it's a great option or adjunct to your build when you have something that you want to display the jewelry in the back of the jewelry box as well as the front. Now you can, you know, and all these frame companies that are doing this great work, all of them in general, you know, there's a lot of frame companies you can go to, and you don't want to hide that at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. We were in Nashville, and he had a little trailer there that he had built, and kind of just
together again.
Yeah, we kind of broke up there a little bit, but okay. So you've got Tricky Air, you've got Arnie, and I guess ultimately let's wrap it up. And then what we'll do, just for a quick walk around, for if we use this for YouTube, we'll do a walk around of the 75 if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I got once again, the shoes are in the works. You'll see what I got going on. But I'll be more than happy to point out a couple of details and things that I'm working on, and whatever I can, I guess, you know, help the next guy with, right?
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, you know. So
well, I'm going to take you out with this for the podcast. Well, here, let me ask you this last question, then I'll take you out. But what would you say is your favorite part? So you had relationships, you've had friends and groups and motorcycles and professional and but now that you're in this truck scene 2013 to today, what would you say is your favorite part of the scene that we're both fortunate to be part of?
First and foremost is the extended family. Just people like all the way on the West Coast that I don't even stay at my buddy's house is here in my neighborhood. And I know on a phone call, I know people will jump for me and I'll do the same for those guys, so that would be the take home, the relationships that are built and, the extended family that you have,
Yeah, we are blessed. So good. I assumed you would say that, and your relationship and your footprint. You talked about it. You're a small footprint guy. You need some propel and a pillow, but your
Yep.
Chuck C footprint is way bigger. Just so you know, and that wouldn't be the way if it wasn't that way, people wouldn't be inviting you in and allowing you to come to their shop and learn and so on and so forth. So, thanks for all that you do. Thanks for all the support that you've given, the community and obviously C10 Talk. And thanks for coming on. I think that's why it's important. When I gave him a hard time, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, dude, I have not reached out, or we have not had Chuck C on. And I look at it like, who does the audience want to hear from? So I'm glad that you took the time to be on, and we appreciate it, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. And I hope, there's some take home for somebody from this whole podcast and this whole, engagement that we had,
Oh, for sure.
And,
check him out on his Instagram.
Bigger and better.
Exactly. Check him out. Chuck C. It's common spelling, CHUCK, and then SEE. And then you can get on Chuck C Classic Trucks on YouTube. Chuck, let's take you out, and then we'll do a quick walk around. Thanks again for your time, brother.
You got it. Thank you, man.
All right, let's do a little walk around, a couple minutes. Just show us what you got with the Silver Square and the Silver Fox or whatever. I got a feeling you're going to come up with a good name. You've got some good ones.
Talking about me or the truck? What are we talking about now?
A little bit of both. Remember, I'm a few years older than you. I'm a model 73. So if you're 75, then.
Hey, we're both round eyes, man. So that's all right.
Yeah. So if you look at it, I got that. You said Berlin did a 3000 grit. I got a 3000 grit to my chrome dome. So yeah, we got it all covered up.
Well, I'm sure it's hot out there. You got to cover it up. So
that's right.
All right. So I turn the camera around a little bit. I'll walk through. This is the new AccuAir VT valve tank that we're now working with. I'm a dealer for them. I'm a dealer for most of the parts now that I run on my builds.
So before you go any further on that, valve tank is going to be compressors are out, but the good part really is that you've still got the valves in there, so it's very clean. But you've taken the compressor out, which ended up kind of being a problem. If I'm, that's what we saw.
I'll agree with you. Yeah, I'll agree with you. So definitely nothing inside the tank but valve and air. So that's what we're running now. Full GSI chassis, making a little bracket for the new ECU that's now Bluetooth, and it lights up different colors, and it gives you a lot of diagnostics on your phone. The drive shaft I just put in this week, a Curry 9. I sound like I've been doing this for years, and I don't. So I'm definitely a novice rear ends, but they say they're good. We'll find out. I usually run just a truck 12 bolt.
AccuAir is out there now, right? So
yeah, in Florida. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I got all the hard lines made up already, but I had them powder coated, so they're stashed away so they don't get scratched. But they're all hard lines from Arizona High Test.
Nice.
And then there are my brakes. Everything's ran through the chassis, so you don't see anything coming through. This is just an airline, so I can go up and down. And this is the brake line. So that's outside of the chassis.
And I saw you were using like some blue line to pre-bend and get all your shapes, and then kind of
yeah. So I use a multi-strand heavy gauge wire. So I make my design out of a piece of wire. I don't know, that just something I came up with. I don't know what else to do, so I figured it out. So a lot of adapt and overcome circumstances over here, because I don't come from a background of this, so I got to make it up on the fly. So it's very common sense stuff, but I guess common sense isn't that common nowadays. I don't know. But you definitely, a lot of that's involved. Raptor line, the entire bottom of the truck, always. So it's like bed liner coating underneath. So that'll be for another 50 years, hopefully. OG paint. So you know that a truck's OG when it has from the 40s all the way to 87, I'll say. You had two primers on the trucks, right? You had black primer on the front clip. You had red on the cab and the doors. There's a red, right? The oxide red. Then you had black on the bed. And I'll show you the front clip over here. This is all polished. It's not cleared. So this is the black that we talk about, right?
It goes really good with the custom deluxe badges.
Here's the bed. Here's the bed. See all the black? And then now you see the red oxide on the roofs. This has been cleared, the roof, because there is no paint on the roof. It is strictly primer. So as soon as it gets wet and there's any metal showing, it'll flash. So to stop that, I had to clear it. So there's a line that I use to clear the roof. Has the same sheen as this factory sheen that you see down here. It's the same sheen up there. So it's really hard to tell.
Are you going to go with the factory color interior?
Yeah. So the interior Saratoga silver as well. I have lizard skin down here. So this is insulation, ceramic insulation. It's not just a Raptor liner. That's on the outside. Lizard skin is on the inside, and it helps with heat. So you're really not supposed to feel heat to this. And then I'll put the membrane, that red membrane by Restomod, I'm going to put on top of this. I wish I knew what sponsors were. That's something new to me. I've never been sponsored by anything or anyone. But I hear it's pretty typical in this scene. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how to do it. So again, that's the novice side of me. How do you ask somebody for something? What are you promising them? I don't know. But I'm kind of learning. I'm learning that now. And a lot of companies, like let's say Precision, right? So I redid all this. All the seals are new on the whole truck, even the back window, even inside the door. Everywhere. The felts in here. All that's Precision. And I was at LST and I said, hey, we'd like to sponsor you for your current build. And I said, oh, well, I already bought everything from you guys. So that would have been nice, but I'm not there yet. But I think maybe on the next build, future build, I'll reach out to those people that have reached out to me. So I'm honored once again for that.
Yeah, good. So good for you.
I got the height sensors going on here. They're already done. They're adjusted. A hard line's gonna run from there into there. This is just so I can go up and down right now. This is the LS1 that I pulled out of the truck, 5.7, and those are my coil relocation brackets back there. They're hidden back there, so you can't see it once you get to the motor. Yeah.
How about your firewall? Did you do that?
Yeah, this I kept the factory like lines and wrinkles and dents, and see all the wrinkles when they pull the metal, it wrinkles. I thought that's beautiful, so I left all that. I didn't want to smooth that.
But you did paint that,
like the little on purpose. Line with a little bit of that. Yeah, I painted that. Yes, I didn't body it. I did weld all the holes. I didn't body it, but I did paint it. So I left that glossy so that when you open the jewelry box, it looks like jewelry in there, right? Shiny.
What AC are you going with, the Restomod?
No, I'm going to use Vintage Air, which I ordered last week, and they're 12 weeks out.
Okay. So, and then you, so you're going to go right in where your old box was, your blower and everything. So you've tucked all that away. You're going to go, some guys will go real tight. They'll try to tuck it in the fender.
Yeah, I'll probably hide it inside the fender if I can. I'm having Empire Fabrication make me a OG style fender. So it'll be metal. I sent him mine. It was very expensive to get him there. He's cutting the hat, like the top hat off of it. And he's going to fabricate the other two ends and make it look as original, but I guess extra large, right?
Nice.
To fit these 22s. You see the Crocs I got?
So right now your wheels are, you've got everything covered, but your wheels are currently getting manufactured.
No, they're done. They're done. They're on there, but they're not for viewing pleasure right now.
Oh, so. They're super secret Saratoga stuff.
Saratoga, yeah, toga party over here. What else? OG windshield wiper rebuilt, completely blown apart, and then I cleared it just to protect it so it looks shiny all the time.
How about brakes?
I like my engine bay.
What brakes are you say you're going with?
Those are Willwood. There we go. They're the 6-piston front, 4-piston rear. I think they're called the ultralights or something like that. Sure.
And then you powder coated your frame, kind of a matching silver.
Yeah, it's called Stormy Gray, and it's more of a flat. I don't know what you want to call it. It's not non-metallic, and the truck is actually metallic, but this is just a gray that kind of ties in with it, and it goes good with black. So the whole theme of the truck is kind of like gray and black. So that's why I went with a gray chassis. It is running the new CPP spindle, which is like a Corvette. It has a hub built in.
Yeah, the X10.
See the hub right there?
Mm-hmm.
So it's running that. I will have my plug from American Auto Wire. It's going to plug right in there. The fender they're building me is going to stay tight so that I can still plug this in and get all my electrical out of there. Rack and pinion, Holley mid-mount kit. Very, very fond of it. I've used it in the last 3 builds, and it's been superb. So I really like it.
How about your fuel tank, GSI fuel tank?
GSI fuel tank is out back. I mean, these are even replaced. You see these little rubber.
Yep.
Even that. See a little rubber behind there?
Attention to detail.
And then the rubber behind the handles. I mean, all that's done.
The red oxide looks so good on that cab.
Thank you, man. It's you can't make it up, you know. And that's what attracts me to the whole, I guess, weathered, worn look. I ordered a new one of these, a used one, because this one got banged up, so it doesn't close appropriately. So that gap is because of this dent right here. So I got a new one of those coming. He's
losing sleep at night because of that gap, you guys. I can tell it.
I just placed it there. It's so ugly.
He's restless. He's restless. What exhaust are you going to run?
Oh, my favorite. So something that I've never seen anyone else use because they probably want loud exhaust. I'm the opposite. I want quiet. So feast your eyes on this thing. Quiet Flow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from, I think, it's a sister company of Dynamax. So what it is, it's a stainless steel muffler. It's 2.5 inches. And it's OE sound, right? So OE Cadillac, OE, I don't know, OE GM quiet. I don't like a loud truck. I don't. I want to hear my music. I want to hear my conversation. I want to hear the noises that my truck makes, right? If it does, if there's a rattle, that's my pet peeve. I don't like rattles. My trucks do not rattle. Interior, exterior, I don't like any type of rattling. So I like to hear that. I don't like to rev my engine and you know, do a burnout or make noise with it. But so Walker Quiet Flow is the name of the muffler.
What gear ratio are you?
3.00.
You broke up, but sounds like you're pretty high. Is what 3.0?
Okay, 3.00. Yeah. So long legs. I don't plan to race. I don't plan to do burnouts, right? So I want great highway ability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose that.
I don't think you said it, but 4L60 or 4L80?
4L60. It's hidden down there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see down there.
And then tunes, you
Well,
brought up you want to hear your tunes. What tunes are you jamonian?
I use I got the factory radio, which goes over here, and I blew the radio apart. I soldered into the power button. That power button attaches to my Bluetooth amp, and I use my phone as a head unit. But I do have to turn the knob on my radio to turn on the amp.
That is so cool. I love to see that. I've seen it where people turn the power on so they get the Bluetooth, and then they've got like a bass control with the other knob, but it's, you know, factory stereo. So that
Yep.
I should have known that you would be doing that. So it sounds like the lizard skin. I've never used it, but you're a fan of that.
Yeah, I am. It insulates the inside, and I even did the firewall, which is, you know, if you don't control radiant heat coming in, I don't care what AC system you have, it's not going to cool. So I'm big into that. I don't like road noise. I don't like rattling, and I don't like hot floors. So I've done a lizard skin. I'll do the membrane, Restomod membrane, and then I'll put my jute, and then I'll put the carpet, and I think I should be okay.
Yeah. How about the doors, inner doors?
Yeah. Also, you see, they thud.
Oh yeah, it sounds like you've already done them because they're really tinny on square bodies if you don't have them.
They're done. Great question. They are done. There's Boomad or Dynamad, whatever here. This is Boomad. It's all the same stuff. Some are a little bit, the mills are a little bit bigger than thicker than the others, but I got Boomad inside the doors.
Yeah, and for the audience, if you can, especially on a square body, if you can just line those doors, it will make the, you know, the inside the door, it makes it so much better.
Yeah, definitely. What else can I point out? Oh, oil catch can. So I did a lot. I nerded out on this real bad. Just what is the purpose? Why do they do it? You're basically recirculating oil back into your intake, and then this gets all boogered up with oil if you ever clean one of those out. So this mitigates all the oil from trying to go that way. Anyway, so that's an oil catch can, just aftermarket oil catch can. Then I got some AN fittings and put some lines and kind of made them back to look OG again.
And then I think you said, did you mention that it is a trim truck?
It was not a trim truck. However, I have all the trim in my parts room, polished and painted, ready to go on with the 3M stickers that I got, like the little double-sided sticker tabs that Marquet provides, and they make them. So I got that whole kit from them. So it's ready to go on there. So it will be a trim truck.
Wow, that's going to look so good, especially because you've got the high polish with the black and the silver, and it's going to go really well. Now, what
should tie in?
Okay, so now your seat's going to be kind of a silver. Do you have like a black stitch that you're going to do? What style are you going to kind of?
Great question. Out of the way.
Out of the way.
Hey, you can edit that.
I don't know. Maybe not. There's a parts room. We got a bike. Nice. We got to go in the doctor's lounge. It's like Fletch.
That's right.
Oh yeah, look at how clean that is.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so you are red then. So you're running a red interior. Oh, that's gonna look so good. Okay, red buckets. Looks like you had. Did you have TMI or who'd you have do those?
No, those are Chuck C design. So
okay.
I had a guy locally do it. I got the emblems off of eBay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Factory. And then I got some Google image pictures of a factory seat, and we kind of try to emulate that as close as possible.
And then did you get a new dash pad, or was that the OG?
That's the dash pad from Cheyenne Chevy pickups. What a phenomenal fit. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. A hard one on now let's get into this bike. I see a GT Performer there.
Oh, it's
Big Ripper. Okay. Nice.
Big Ripper, yeah. It's a 2009 model. I ride it maybe once a month.
Cool. Cool.
There's a bike that Arnie did for me.
Oh yeah, those were the OCC back in the day.
Yep. So my design, and then he put it together for me and stuff. So that was one of them. There's street trucks. I guess, display of what the magazine.
Now you got to get you got to get some tan lines up in there. And
tan lines never got photographed because it came and went.
What do you mean? You've got the one photograph that's by like storage containers. Maybe you didn't do it. Maybe the new owner did. But I love that picture where it's laid out next to a bunch of like storage containers.
Yes, that's like at the port of Miami or something like that, where there's a lot of containers.
It appears that we found the step sides of the long bed stepper.
Oh, there you go. Good eye. Good eye. Yes, they're polished and they're inside this room, man. Look at how beautiful they are. Somebody's looking for a step side. Good. There you go.
Yeah, you could make some. You could make a cool desk out of that or something like that. So, right. I think we've hit just about everything. What about your radiator? And you're going to go with I'm assuming electric fan setup.
Yeah, there's my radiator support. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
And then my radiator is back here.
Okay, and it looks like you have I did it column.
Oh yeah, that's from Syndicate.
Okay, so a shortened column.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, this is up your alley right here. This is
my
grill.
Cool. Yeah, I like that grill. Arctic 75, gray. Baby.
NOS Chevy bow tie that I found on eBay.
And that's going to look so good, especially too, because you have a few little yellow, just a few little accents that'll all bring it together. Yellow.
And then here's all the trim.
Okay. Now, did you source all that trim in its OG trim, or did you get some Marquet trim, or what'd you do?
No, I should have gotten Marquet, maybe, but I got it off an OG short bed truck, all of it, every single piece, and took it to it's called the Trim Lady in Florida, and she bangs out dents and polishes them to new. I mean, it's better than new. It's crazy. And then the gauge of metal is always better, the OG one. So what else can I show you here? Guitar.
And then fan setup?
Fan, yes. So where are that? Okay, it's all together on the CNR. So it's a CNR radiator. Oh, sure. CNR with electric fans with like a GC cooling or something else. GC cool, is that GC cooling the fan, or is that
sometimes it's a GC cooling fans, which is like a Spall style fan.
Yeah, I think it's a Spall. I think it's a Spall or Duraley or Spall, or one of the.
And then you're gonna have a CNR aluminum style radiator.
Yeah, it's already there. It's a complete package that they provide now, and the detail of stuff that they go into is unbelievable.
Awesome.
This is just some of my art. Giving you a tour of the house now.
It's like the Rolling Stones right there. It's like Kiss Me, Baby.
So this is a palette.
Right? Oh, that's cool. Palette. Yeah.
So I cut up a palette and made the lips. And just
nice. I like the Cuba. Out. You don't see that very often.
Those are handmade in Cuba. Look at the scissors where they cut them.
Holy shit.
The letters. This is all painted by hand. How crazy is that, huh?
Yeah, that's cool.
This is for my mom's truck. Right. Came from Cali. Matching front and rear tags. That's
the old blue plate. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And then here's a 58 Arrow Flyer Saber Tooth Tiger Flyer bicycle. Saber Tooth Cyber. Yeah. I don't know.
When he's not riding the Ripper, he's on that.
Yeah, I'm on this thing, man. It's got the articulation on this thing is nuts.
Stretching his legs. It's that's where Arnie's Tricky Air came from, right there. That's the R&D. Oh, there you go. Yeah. See?
And then there's that thing. Yeah, that thing's pretty cool.
That is very cool. So when you talk about the wheels, there you go. I mean, the Delta, the 88s, and then he's got the obviously from tan lines and then the GMO. That's pretty sweet.
And this is a salesman's book for the 55, 59. When you ask the specs, and it has all the guys' notes. Richard, I don't know what. And it goes through all the options, the data book for a 1959 truck.
That's what you were doing. You were sitting there learning. You were going through all that and just.
I went through this whole book and read all the specs. Look at the colors. These are the factory colors that they came in: Frontier beige. This little book tells you everything. This is the Bible.
What do they call? What do they call? Like GMO? Do they call that a Seafoam, a 503? What do they call that?
Galway, not Galloway. Galway. Galway green.
Galway green.
Galway green.
Wow. That's okay, my brother. Yeah, you've got some rad stuff, obviously some cool stuff to kind of all check out now. So you got the 75, you're going to bring the 75. There you go. Test that. That's a fire. We got to do your fire alarm. So we're going to hold you to it. For the audience, you can check him out, and then hopefully we can see this thing in action around November, so we can get you up to Bowling Green. Now, would you drive? How long would it take you to get from Florida to Miami all the way up to Bowling Green?
That would probably be like a 17-hour jobber. Let's see where I am with the truck. I have no doubt it'll get there. What's going to hold me back the most, the biggest hurdle to overcome, will be the bed. An articulating bed floor is a complete new build. It's like starting all over with another truck. It's wild because there's no room for mistakes. It has to be, the when it's ajar, when it's closed, it has to be, the lines have to be perfect, or else you're gonna have an overbite, underbite, side bite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dynamics involved, and it usually takes the longest. People ask me hey, would you do a bed for me? And I, respectfully say, no, I can't, or, I don't have time. It's real cumbersome. It takes a lot out of you. So that'll be the last part. And that may hold me up the most.
So I know your brother's come out to the show with you, with you. What does he think about this?
Well, we got him a 77 with the okra, is it line in the trim?
Yellow trim fever.
That's it. So he's got one, and we got a Tahoe motor, and we pulled it out, cleaned it up, put all brand new seals. It's already on the engine stand, and he's doing his static drop. It's a long bed. He wants like a farm truck kind of look, and it's an original two-tone green and dark green, like lime green and I don't know, olive green. I don't know. It's two-tone square body.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting that together for him at his farm, but his farm's like 2.5 hours from here. So on long weekends and stuff, we go up there and we hammer out some stuff. But
now, is he a model 77 himself, like you're a 75, or did he just like that?
No, he's like a 1947 model. So.
He is. Actually, now I think about it, he is your older brother, right?
Older, yeah, older.
Okay. He's
a 73.
Okay, I like that model. That's the same as me.
73. Yeah.
Okay.
So 73 model. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got the full tour. I like the lizard skin. The lizard skin makes the Chuck C list. Obviously, the GSI chassis, vintage air, tricky air, bed shocks. So we need to get this list expanded, and looking forward to continue to watch this build. Again, thank you for your time, and thank you for really just being an ambassador to the kinship of what we're fortunate to be part of, is this truck movement.
And I'm thankful for the time you've extended for me and on side B. And I know it's moving quick, but I do appreciate it, and I'm glad I can be part of that side B. And before you go, I had set this aside, just a heads up for everybody. If this is a gold nugget I can throw out there before anybody leaves. Everyone's familiar with these fuel lines, right? I don't know if I'm focusing or not.
We could see it. Yep.
Braided fuel line that you find on eBay and Summit and these places. It's a death trap.
Bad news.
You see the black stuff? You see the black stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the fuel. That's the fuel breaking it down.
Breaking it down. All right. So please stay away from this braided fuel line. There is one that does have Teflon PTFE inside of it. This cheap Summit eBay. Summit sells some good ones. This isn't it. This is the lower class one. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. This has been in this recreational fuel, which is ethanol free, and I put it in since the beginning of the show. We've been here 2 hours.
Yeah, it's already breaking down. So we're gonna have to get on the.
Yeah, I pulled it out right now.
We need to get on Chuck's YouTube and find out what fuel line. Now are you doing a lot of hard lines now that you've been out to high test?
Yeah, everything as far as air is hard line. However, Fragola, which is this company here, I'm not sponsored, right? They make a braided line that has Teflon PTFE inside of it, which is this one. Look at how nice that is.
It almost sounds like the Christmas Story, right? Fragola. So it's Fragola. Fragile.
It's Fragola. Forget about it. So this soft line runs inside my chassis. Here's the gas tank. Those are my sending units, proprietary to Chuck C. Have to throw that out there.
I think I saw you making that. I think previously you did some stuff where you were making some stuff with that.
Yeah. So I guess what everybody uses is the conventional industry standard, that hinged one that always breaks. This will never break. It's marine grade and stainless steel. I'll leave it at that. So my fuel lines run all the way through inside the chassis. And then they poke out right here, this little trap door that I made. And then they turn a hard line. And then I got heat shield from their back because the mufflers run through there. And anyway, the hard line continues out through there. So it goes soft line, Fragola, to hard line, stainless steel. Come through here, and it returns to soft line again. Right here.
Okay, so you transition right there from hard to soft right there?
I transitioned down bottom of the frame where we're at line to sign. So I can I don't want to run a hard line inside my engine bay. It attracts heat, and it's hard to organically form a contour a line inside your engine bay that looks crawling up the firewall and jumping over, and then the motor vibrates, so you can't have a hard line from the motor to a non-moving, from a moving to non-moving, because you'll create a leak.
So you broke up a little bit there, but right underneath the cab where you're transitioning to come up the firewall, that's about where you're switching.
Right before it jumps to the cab.
Yeah.
The cab is non-moving and the motor moves. So you can't connect a hard line from a moving, vibrating surface to a non-moving surface.
Okay.
Because you'll create a stress fracture or a leak or rupture. So that's why I go back soft again, flex line, that braided Fragola line, so that you don't have any mishaps.
Fragola, and forget about it. Where do you get the Fragola?
That is their website, fragola.com.
Okay. Not sponsored, but should be sponsored. Not sponsored. Fragola, and forget about it. So good. Okay. Fragola, and forget about it.
Hey, forget about it. So
I got it.
Stay away from this stuff.
Okay. Stay away from the bad stuff. All right. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go eat some dinner. Chuck, as always, thanks for your time, and we'll get this out ASAP, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Peace.
See ya.